maybe the most intimidating. But to us at home, he was JoJo's honey bunny, our daddy, and the little girl's granddad. He was the early bird, and we were the night owls. He was the caution to our carefree, and the budget to JoJo's spending. As he would say, reel it in. Last week, I was writing his obituary, and I was reading it to Aileen, and I read a part where Paul's life was dedicated to his work, his family, and his beloved vacations. Aileen stopped me and said, "Darling, I think we should put family first." And I said, "Well, it's not really how it went." Market Basket shaped my dad's entire life. He started at age 16, and on his first day, he quit. When he got home from work, my grandmother said, "Absolutely not. Go back down there, apologize, and ask for your job back." Thank God she said that. I vividly remember as a kid walking into 11. That's the old Andover store for you Market Basket shoppers. And I remember my sister and I running into my dad's arms in the dairy aisle. He greeted us with a huge smile and big hugs. And then I remember looking around at the guys in red jackets, and they looked like they saw a ghost. Dana, the dairy manager, looked down at Katie and I and said, "Wait a second, your dad actually smiles." The dairy aisle is a big part of Paul McVeigh's life. In fact, it's the exact place he met the love of his life, JoJo. In 1981, Paul was moved to the Chelsea store as dairy manager. He walked across the front end, and JoJo spotted him from the courtesy booth. Out loud, she said, "Who is that? I want him." Their love story was a whirlwind. One Friday night, Paul was sitting outside Jula's, waiting for JoJo to finish work. When she finally came out of the store, she went to his car window to give him a kiss. JoJo looked down and saw a six-pack of beer. He looked at JoJo and said, "I'm gonna need these if I ask you to marry me tonight." JoJo started screaming, to which Paul said, "Get in the car, Joanne." He ran his household like he ran his dairy aisles, so don't worry, I sympathize with you all. Every Christmas Eve, I'd come home with bags and bags of food, and he'd meet me in his beloved garage so we could reset the fridge. He also had us perfectly programmed to rotate the inventory. I think what I loved most as a kid is when he brought home a taste test. Not too long ago, he brought home edible cookie dough, and I said, "All heroes don't wear capes." Paul's predictability is one of our favorite things about him. He had his work uniform, his casual uniform of Lacoste polos and Dockers, and if he was really relaxed, a Disney long-sleeved jeans. He had the same routine every day. And I recently read this. Effective leaders typically have a routine with key habits and processes practiced daily. Truly great leaders develop their own set of habits that dictate how their days go and how they can reach their fullest potential. Paul's routine and key habits never strayed, not even during his cancer treatments. He was at his desk at the crack of dawn, drinking his 3 cups of extra strong coffee, which Diane made just for him. Allie and Olivia, his work daughters, knew exactly what his every move was and what he was going to say before he even said it. Over the past few weeks, I've heard on multiple occasions, "I just want your dad to yell at me." The thing is, while he might have been yelling, he was truly just making us better. He yelled at all of us. When Paul was upset with you, it was his way of holding you to a higher standard, showing us that we are all capable of excellence, and it was fueled by effort, attention to detail, and learning to think 10 steps ahead. Paul mastered these things because of the standard he held himself to. JoJo always used to tease him that he would never retire because he was too brilliant and had too much knowledge in his head. To which he replied, "Oh, is that what you think?" Early last week, Herschel called us for his daily update, and we got to talking about his sales visits to Paul. He was saying how he used to come in with his nice pens, but Paul would have 2 things. A number 2 pencil that he would sharpen down to the eraser, and a red Herschel took 2 of Paul's signature stubby pencils, which he ironically found last week. Paul's wit and sarcasm will be sorely missed. Us girls had a terrible habit of leaving the door open to the screen porch when we were outside. One day, Paul came home from work. He came up to the porch with his blazer in his arm and his newspaper in his hand, and said, "When I was driving up the hill, I saw dollar bills floating over the house. And now I know why. I'm so glad we were air conditioning the outside today." Paul was a dream maker, in small ways and in big ones, like when I wanted him to carry Bantam bagels. And he goes, "Those guys," you can use your imagination there. Even when we were homesick in September, I heard him on a call, and I heard him say, "You know Barstool Sports? Well, my wife wants to know why we don't have Dave Portnoy's One Bite Pizza, and I don't have an answer for her." When it came to making our dreams come true, he always had one last trick in the bag to make things happen for his girls. One Saturday afternoon, my sister and I were watching family videos of Disney trips. Katie and I wanted to go so badly. So while we were sitting watching these videos, my dad heard us, and he snuck away to his office. An hour later, he came back and he said, "You guys really want to go to Disney, huh?" And Katie and I were like, "We miss it." And he replied, "Good thing we're going in 4 weeks." As we got older, he referenced that afternoon a few times. He loved it. He lived to see us happy, and that afternoon, pulling the trick out of the bag brought him the biggest joy. Everyone teased Paul that he never went anywhere besides Disney. Well, except for that one time we went to Marco Island, and we all know that. He lasted 30 minutes by the pool and said, "I'm not staying here. Our magic bands are in my briefcase. Call the Yacht Club." An hour later, the drive to Disney started, and never was the man so happy to pull up to one of his favorite resorts. He loved his time there so deeply. It wasn't the rides, it was just the nostalgia. He spent most days poolside with his book. What he looked forward to most were dinners at the steakhouse. David would always be our server, and without fail, his Grey Goose and tonic would be on the table waiting for him upon arrival. These were some of his favorite nights. They were the moments he worked so hard for. Disney wasn't just a place, it was also a family tradition. It started with my grandparents, bringing my dad and his sisters in the 70s, and as the family grew, so did the trips. And it just became our place. It was our vacation home. The love my dad has for Disney is shared so deeply with my sister Katie. They would share breaking news about what new things are coming. They would check the wait times for the rides, even when we weren't there. And she's the reason that he finally got Disney Vacation Club. He trusted her so deeply with Disney planning that after 32 years, he passed the torch and started to let her make dinner and park reservations. Big deal. Paul has spent his whole life making our dreams come true, which is why we pushed him in 2017 to make his own dreams come true. Since I can remember, my dad would read articles in the Sunday paper about Toll Brothers building in Methuen. He followed the story closely, and as they started to develop, he would take drives to see the construction. He would do this weekly. He wanted to live there so bad. Finally, Jojo and I broke him down enough to put a deposit on a lot. He enjoyed designing and building his forever home more than anything. The day of the closing, he came back to the house, and a sign was placed in the front yard and it said private residence. I've never seen my dad so proud. His home was one of his greatest accomplishments, and he cherished every moment there. Paul's thoughtfulness was so deeply rooted in him, he was always thinking of us. When I moved home with my parents, the first night I was there, he said, "Don't worry, Kristen. I bought you a box of Ilio's pizza. I didn't want you to come home one night and be looking for it." At 24, Katie was moving to Boston and tossed away her favorite teddy bear in the move. Paul took the bear out of the trash without any of us knowing and placed it on a shelf in the garage. It was years before any of us bought it. That was the thing about Paul. Quiet sentiment. We learned a lot about this when we brought his cell phone home from the hospital before he got transferred. We plugged it in and it faced a 6-digit passcode. We had no clue what it was. So we placed a couple Market Basket store numbers together and figured it out on the first try. We immediately opened his camera roll. We had always catch him take pictures of Ada and Sylvie, but we truly had no idea what we would be finding. But the epitome of Paul was on his phone. It was pictures of dairy aisles and his family. He screenshot things I never would have imagined in the moments he was most proud of my sister and I. Her wedding dress fitting, her professional dance performances, when I got my real estate license, and I taught my 5,000th class at Crew. Paul's loyalty was ingrained in him. He was truly a man of his word, and he always followed through. A couple days ago, Jojo found a treasure. It was a small, spiral notebook that he kept in the pocket of his chest. It was nearly 40 years old. In the notebook, he uncharacteristically shared his feelings about my mom. He expressed that she was the perfect person for him, and until they met, he didn't think the perfect person existed. He shared his deep gratitude for the things Jojo did for him, the big things, and the small things which he appreciated the most. The hugs, his laundry, and just being with him. In the note, he vowed that all he wanted was to make her happy for the rest of his life, which he did exceptionally. The greatest gift Paul gave to our family was the love he shared with my mom. They were iconic. They were best friends, greatest loves. They kept each other on pedestals and never stopped adoring one another. They also shared a banter unlike anything I've ever seen. Father Flatday has been a part of our family story for 54 years as one of my grandparents' greatest friends. He's been our go-to guy for every big milestone with our faith, including marrying my parents. Prior to their wedding, Father Flatday sent Paul and Jojo to Pre-Cana, a Catholic marriage preparation course. Paul had a couple problems with this. One, it was on Sundays. Two, he had to talk about his feelings. At one point in class, the couple leading it shared that you should be thoughtful to your spouse. You should include little notes in their lunch or just call them during their work day to say, I love you. Paul had been mute up until this moment when he interjected and said, if Jojo calls me when I'm at work in the frozen aisle and I get paged that I have a call from an outside line and I walk all the way to the courtesy booth for her to tell me she loves me, I'm not going to be happy. I want to say it was 10 or 15 years ago. It was the day of the Market Basket Christmas party. They were both getting ready and Jojo just stopped. My dad asked her what was wrong and she replied, I can't go, Paul. I don't feel pretty. And without a flinch, she said, okay, honey, I'll go. When he came home, Jojo asked what the party was. She also asked what he said as to why she didn't attend. Without hesitation, he said, I told him you didn't feel pretty. Jojo didn't let this down. The entire Market Basket crew the following year greeted Jojo by asking if she felt pretty enough this year. Early last week, we were visiting my dad, and a doctor came in and asked my mom and I if we were his daughters. Jojo got right up to his ear and said, honey, did you hear that? They thought it was her daughter. We shared such a laugh, and we knew his response would be, oh, brother. Mom, Dad broke the mold when it came to husbands. He loved to spoil you in the biggest way. Seeing you happy was his every joy. Your love for each other was palpable. Your daily 5-minute-long hugs in the kitchen every night were gifts. Your love was the reason my friends were always drawn to our house on the holidays. One year on our anniversary, I said, having parents who are best friends is the greatest gift you could ever give me. Katie and I couldn't have asked for a better dad. I'm actually not sure if there was ever a time he said no to us. Over the years, I can remember him being the only dad at every single dance competition. He spent Sundays in the spring driving us around New England, never wavering from supporting what we love to do the most. When we were little kids, Paul actually participated in the father-daughter dances with us at recital. Come to the studio, Miss Debbie would teach the routine. I clearly remember dancing to You Make Me Feel So Young and doing the box step. He would do 2 of the recitals, one with Katie, one with me. My grandfather would do it with us too. I always thought he hated it, he just did it for us. Until until last week when Alan and Olivia brought it up out of the blue and said he mentioned it, and that was one of his favorite memories. Quiet sentiment. Growing up, Wednesday afternoons when my dad was off, it was almost always dedicated to going out to dinner. We'd head to the Loft or the 99, and one day I must have been 12 or 13 and I was looking at a drink menu. It had a list of non-alcoholic beer. So I said, "Dad, what does O'Doul's taste like?" Without hesitation, he said, "A waste of time." We thought we knew my dad until Ada and Sylvie came along. Then I'm not actually sure what happened to this man. It was Ada's first trip to Disney in 2019. We were walking in the hallway of the resort, and Ada was in her Tinkerbell costume. All of a sudden, Paul picked up Ada and started to make her fly. Then he started singing, "Fly up to the sky." I froze. By the time we got back to the hotel room, I was able to recover from what I just saw, and I looked at Paul. And I said, "Excuse me, where is my father?" He laughed and he said, "What?" And I said, "Dad, you've never sang happy birthday to me." I'm 30 years old and I've never heard you sing happy birthday. And now we're singing Tinkerbell in public. Ada and Sylvie rode bikes a lot this summer with Granddad. Ada got her first big girl bike from him, and he would stand next to her and walk slow as she learned to push the pedals. Or he'd catch her if she took too hard of a turn. When my dad was in the hospital, Ada was at the house riding her bike with me, and I asked her, "What would Granddad be saying to you?" Ada said, "Keep going." "Daddy, we will keep going. You fought for us, and we fought so hard for you. Our love is unwavering. You are so brave, and we are so proud. The list of things we will miss goes on forever. We actually can't believe they're making us go grocery shopping again. We always thought the dumb chocolates just magically appeared in the fridge." Our Monopoly champion, business advisor, mentor, vacation planner, weatherman, drinking partner, our shoulder, our support, our hardworking Paul. We have no idea how to navigate this life without you. Well, kind of, because you trained us. But our hearts are shattered, and we will miss you beyond measure. Today, all we have left to do is make a promise. We promise to live life a little more humbly with a lot more heart. We promise to listen carefully and respond thoughtfully. We promise to work hard and strive for excellence. We promise to make you proud. We will be better for the standards you held yourself to. We will hold them to. You will forever be remembered as one of the very best. Your legacy will live forever. But most of all, we promise to love as deeply as you did.